The last few days have come with a few announcements here regarding Walt Disney World. And look, this is something we have to talk about because you need to know about these announcements, especially if you're planning a trip in 2025. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel and welcome to one of my favorite places to just walk and chill here at Walt Disney World. This is the walkway between Hollywood Studios, the Epcot area resorts, and of course, Epcot. It's a little bit overcast today, not the most beautiful day, but the weather is fantastic. Nice and cool, at least right now. It's not too humid, so I can't help myself. I figure let's get some steps in, go for a walk, and talk about this news. Now, like I said, this is stuff that you want to be aware of, especially if you're planning a trip for 2025. Because yeah, we're talking about closing major attractions. That's going to ultimately lead to things feeling more crowded, walling off more areas of the parks. Yeah, that Epcot situation, I can't say for sure that that's going to happen over at Magic Kingdom, but my spidey senses are tingling. Of course, we have the whole Animal Kingdom situation as well, and so we have to answer a question, one that I've heard other people pose, but I haven't really touched on myself. Should you visit Walt Disney World in 2025? And if you do, what is that going to look like? Now, if this topic seems like a rather stressful one, I totally understand. It's that time of year, everyone's thinking about 2025 and their 2025 plans, which is why today, not only are we going to cover these things, but we're doing it in some of the places that I love to relax. Specifically in this Epcot Hollywood Studios area, we might jump on the Skyliner, try and make this a relaxing day, even though it's not really a relaxing topic. Now, let me start off by saying that while we are going to approach the topic or the question of whether or not you should visit Walt Disney World in 2025, this is very much an opinion. I'm going to share my opinion with you today. Other people have surely shared their opinions or will in the future, but it's important to know that while we might be letting you know what we think, you got to do what's best for you and your family. And for so many of you out there, 2025 might be your only opportunity to visit Walt Disney World. And yeah, even with the walls, even with all the closures, you can still have a great time here at Disney. So hear what we have to say, maybe take that into consideration, but also take it with a grain of salt, you know? Because none of us here know you personally. We don't know what is going to be best for you. We could just share our thoughts. And then it's up to you to do the rest. So use these conversations as a tool and then use those tools to figure out what's best for you. Also, we're making our way to our first relaxing spot here in the area between Epcot and Hollywood Studios. We're walking over the bridge now that connects the boardwalk, the yacht and beach, and if we swing this way, the Swan and Dolphin. Or just so we're all on the same page, the Swan is over here, Dolphin's over here. Swan Reserve is back that way, between the two, across the street. I can actually give you a better look if we cross over to the other side of the bridge. So here's the Dolphin, then the Swan is over there. These are within walking distance of, again, Epcot and Hollywood Studios. And then, can you see that building right in the middle? That's the Swan Reserve. Still close, still nearby, but you do have to cross the street to get to the Swan Reserve, which is why it's not my favorite option, especially if you're looking for walkability. It's still fine, it's still close, but I like to avoid crossing roads as often as I can. So it's just a personal preference of mine. Anyway, we're making our way this direction over to the Beach Club because it's at the Beach Club where we can find one of my favorite spots to sit and relax. I'll tell you all about it as soon as we get over there, but let's get into some of these announcements. So first up, we have to talk about Dinoland USA. Now, a lot of you guys know, especially since we recently made a trip over there, that Dinoland USA is going to be closing and it's going to be replaced with the Tropical Americas. This, of course, is over at Disney's Animal Kingdom. Now, during our trip to Dinoland USA recently, I said that we didn't have any information regarding when it was going to be closing, but that has since changed. So we know that on January 13th, 2025, so just after the holiday, we're going to see Chester and Hester's Dinosaur Treasures, Fossil Fun Games, and Triceratops Spin close for good. Now, for those of you who might not be familiar with the names of these places, this is the gift shop there, you know, the one that I always tell you has all the good stuff, which is a little bit sad. That's also a really cute gift shop, and we didn't check it out last time we visited, so we're gonna have to go back and just comb through the place, take a look at everything before it's gone forever. It's also those carnival games as well as that Dumbo style attraction. And of course the little food stands and stuff in there are gonna go away as well. Though they're not really anything notable, it's just like popcorn, ice cream. But the long and short of it is that entire parking lot area, that's gonna close January 13th. Now, according to this announcement, everything else, to include Dinosaur, the Boneyard, Restaurantosaurus, Dinobite Snacks, and Trilobites, will remain open. How long it will remain open for is still yet to be determined, but I guess from this announcement, it will be open past January 13th. My best guess, and this is just a guess because I have no inside knowledge on this, is that it will be open quite some time after that. It seems as though they're going the route of doing this in phases. So even though there's likely going to be a time when the whole Dinoland area is closed, I'd imagine that they're going to stretch out as long as possible before they close the rest of these things. You know, these 3 dining options, playground, and of course, other major attraction, that attraction being Dinosaur. Though, I think it's worth noting that just because Dinosaur or any of these things really remain open doesn't necessarily mean they're gonna remain in tip-top shape until they close. It's really no secret that Disney allows rides to slip, especially when they're on the chopping block. And I mean, we've seen that already with Dinosaur. It's in rough shape, so I can imagine they're gonna try and cut as many costs as possible from this point on, you know, saving where they can by not replacing things, not repairing things. It happens. It's just the facts of how things go here at the WDW. And you know, there's a whole conversation that we could have about this, just how Disney allows things to fade away and die, especially when they're on the chopping block. But Disney's also not been good about just keeping up things that are brand new. Epcot's a great example of this, which we'll talk more about in the future. Don't even get me started on that today. But all right, let's put a pause on that conversation and make our way to one of the places I love to just hang out, chill, relax. It's right here in the Beach Club, which of course is my home resort, one of my favorite resorts here at Walt Disney World. Honestly, there's actually 2 places. I'll show you the first, then I'll show you the second. So my first favorite spot to just chill and relax is located here in the Disney Vacation Club Villas. Right through here we have 2 separate areas which are just so chill. I absolutely love them. The first is called the Breezeway, and it's just a lovely area, though I remember there being more plush chairs in here. And then across from the Breezeway is the drawing room, and that's just another chill, more like an office space, but still very nice. There are people relaxing in both areas today, so we're just going to move on to this next space, another great one. It's actually just down the path from the villas. This is called the Solarium. So gorgeous in here, and it's a perfect place to hang out if you're waiting for your room or if you're waiting to check out. Now, I think that this is definitely a place you need to be aware of if you are going to be staying here. Maybe you're going to be arriving before check-in, but you don't want to go to the parks, you don't want to wander around, you're tired, you just want to relax. This is a great place to know about because it's so close to the food options. You can grab some food, bring it here, eat. There are some tables and chairs as well. There's a TV in there so your little ones can watch Mickey shorts and whatever else is on. And it's out of the way, which I think is really nice, especially for a travel day when you just want to decompress a little, get out of the chaos. But all right, enough chilling. Filled my water bottle. Now it's time to make our way onto the Skyliner for our next relaxing stop. Honestly, as much as I love Beach Club and as much as I love all of those areas that I just showed you, the next one is just perfect, at least in my opinion. Definitely more out of the way than those, and I think you're gonna like it. But while we make our way there, let's talk about the next piece of information that you need to be aware of. You're definitely not going to like this one. Big Thunder Mountain Railroad will be closing for a long time. Now, at this point, I think most of us are probably already aware that Magic Kingdom is going to be in rough shape for some time with all the new updates and expansions, of course, expansions in air quotes, depending on who you're talking to, that are going to be happening over at that park. So we knew that something was going to happen. We knew it was probably going to happen soon, but something that I wasn't thinking we were going to see is an attraction like Big Thunder Mountain Railroad close for a major refurbishment, certainly not for as long as this attraction is going to be closed. Though, the more I think about it, it makes sense. Nonetheless, starting January 6th, Big Thunder Mountain Railroad is going to be closed, and it will remain closed until 2026. That's a really long time, and that's assuming we're talking about it only being 1 year, opening in January 2026. We don't know that. Could open at any point in 2026. I know we kind of talked about this the other day. So, I mean, it's gonna be a while without Big Thunder. Now, at this time, like I said, all the announcement said was it will reopen in 2026. That's all we know. I don't know if it's going to coincide with anything that's going on at Magic Kingdom, so maybe that Behind Big Thunder expansion or the Villains area or whatever's going on with the Rivers of America. We just don't know yet. So we're gonna keep our ear to the ground and we'll keep you posted.
We're flying to Disney's Riviera Resort with a final stop at Disney's Caribbean Beach Resort.
So we're making our way on the Skyliner toward the Riviera and ultimately Caribbean Beach now. And it just did its boom, bada boom thing. And it said that there is nightly entertainment at the Boardwalk Resort, nightly live entertainment, but that's not consistent with what we've experienced when we're staying at the Boardwalk.
We hope you are enjoying your journey on the most magical flight on Earth.
I am. Anyway, I just think that that's part of a bigger problem here at Walt Disney World. And I think that not only contributes to the whole FOMO issue that people talk about all the time, the fear of missing out, but also why people feel like they're getting less for their money. Put a pin in that one, because we will be getting back to that, guys. I have never seen a Skyliner come to such a screeching halt. We are moving now though, almost at the Riviera. Then we're gonna head to Caribbean Beach. I'm gonna risk it for the biscuit. We're staying on. All right guys, I lied. We just got off at Riviera. As we were pulling into the station, we got stuck again. So I was like, you know what? I can do with the steps. Remember I said we were getting our steps in, so we're walking to the next place. As it is, it's not much of a walk. By the way, check out the damage here at Caribbean Beach. The beach is a little bit flooded, a little bit washed out. Can't say that I'm surprised, but you know, it's all good. I'm sure that it'll be back to normal in no time. I know we haven't focused too much time talking about hurricane damage and the problems that kind of arose as a result of Hurricane Milton. I just don't feel the need. You've probably heard it from so many other people, but I do think that it is worth pointing out because we are stumbling upon it today that, yeah, it happens. And it's also worth mentioning that it's not always predictable exactly how it's gonna happen because hurricanes, you know, if they bring wind, they bring rain, but sometimes it's more wind than rain, sometimes it's more rain than wind. So we're just figuring out what to do, figuring out what we're looking at once the storm is done. And this is what we're looking at right now. We've also seen some downed trees and stuff along our route today. They're doing their best to get it, first of all, it is out of the way, so that's good, but they're doing their best to get everything back to normal as quick as possible, but they're gonna prioritize high priority things first. This is not a high priority. Also, water's a little tough because you can only do so much when it comes to making the water back off, so just gotta wait. But all right, here we are headed to our next relaxing out of the way spot. I love this one. It's located here at Caribbean Beach. It is this little island that you can access via bridge. There are a few different ways to access this as well. You can walk straight from here to the main lobby area. There's a playground out here, though it is currently closed. Actually, it looks like the area that I wanted to go to is closed as well, probably because of the storm. There's a little path back here, and it does lead to some covered areas with Adirondack chairs and little tables. You can actually kind of get a better look from this angle. See that little platform over there? Normally there's chairs and a table under cover in all of these little gazebo-like areas, but it seems like they may have moved all of that, at least temporarily for the storm. Now they haven't had a chance to bring it back. I wonder if it's because the water is so high right here. It's probably not all the way up to the walkway or anything, but gators, they are a thing. So maybe that's part of the concern. I don't know for sure. Anyway, we're not gonna sit there. We could sit here though. By the way, did you know that at one time These were bird cages with tropical birds. One of my first stays here at Caribbean Beach, this was like my favorite place to wander around because of the birds, but clearly they've removed those bird cages and replaced them with a seating area, which I do like. But all right, this might not necessarily be the most relaxing spot. I'm not sitting in an Adirondack. I'm just crisscross applesauce on a bench, but we still need to talk about the next piece of news coming out of Walt Disney World, specifically for Magic Kingdom, and this is related to the Jungle Cruise. So the Jungle Cruise has been closed for refurbishment, but it's set to open again today. So if you've been wanting to jump on a boat and enjoy some dad jokes, that's great news, especially if you're here at Walt Disney World right now. But with the holidays right around the corner, we're also going to see the return of the Jingle Cruise. Now that's going to make its way to Magic Kingdom November 2nd. And you know, I'm trying to remember how they go about making that transition over to the Jingle Cruise, because past years have just completely slipped my mind. They're likely going to close the attraction so that they can transition over from Jungle Cruise to Jingle Cruise for a length of time. I don't know how long that's going to be. Who knows? Maybe Disney Magic will have it happening overnight, but I wasn't able to find any information on that, so I don't know. I guess just stay tuned. We'll let you know what we know as soon as we know it, don't worry. Now, I'm sure I'm about to break some hearts and lose some friends over this one, so I don't know, I'm bracing myself for impact here. But I'm not a huge fan of the Jungle Cruise. It's not that I don't like the attraction. I do think that it's a good attraction, it's a fun attraction, but it usually has such a long line and it is very popular, so it's not one of those things that I do all the time. Also, as a solo traveler, which I more often than not am, it just can get a little uncomfortable. The last couple times that I've done it, they've sat me like right in the front, which I'm fine with. Like, I'm not uncomfortable being that close to the skipper or anything like that. Also, the skippers tend to like to play with someone like me because they're by myself, especially when I'm holding a camera. But other people are sometimes uncomfortable with a solo traveler being in their space, even if it's not my choice to be in their space. You know, this is something that I run into every once in a while, which, for the record, if you're traveling solo, you do you. Don't let other people ruin your day. And I'm not saying that these people have ruined mine, but I'm here all the time. So I have that choice. I usually opt not to do the Jungle Cruise for that reason, as well as others. Like I said, long lines, not really my jam. All this to say, I just don't remember. I don't remember how the transition over to Jingle Cruise goes, so I'll keep an eye out this year though. We're on our last leg of the journey over to the Skyliner right now. And of course, got to talk about this last little announcement. Is this a little announcement? Feels kind of like a big announcement to me. Anyway, it's about The Little Mermaid, a musical adventure over at Disney's Hollywood Studios. This is that live stage performance of The Little Mermaid that you've probably forgotten about. It's over in Animation Courtyard, which is a dead section of the park, at least at the moment. This has been the subject of much scuttlebutt over the past, what has it been now? 4 years, nearly 5 years. The show shut down as a result of the pandemic, and then it just never came back. And people were like, oh, well, it's because of, and then they list off a bunch of other things. I think it's because they knew that they could cut costs. And so they were like, why have a show here? We don't need it. But they did eventually decide, hey, we're gonna bring it back. It's gonna be newly done, reimagined, if you will. Whole Animation Courtyard, according to them, is going to be reimagined and supposed to be happening this year until we got this announcement. So the show was supposed to debut in fall of this year, 2024. That's not going to happen. They have pushed it back to summer 2025. So, you know, fingers crossed that it's still on track to open. It should be, but who knows, things change. There are, of course, a lot of people who think that Animation Courtyard is going to be the location of the new Monsters, Inc. area. I disagree. We talked about this a little bit before when we were exploring around Hollywood Studios and taking a look at some of the concept art. I personally think that we're going to see Indiana Jones removed and possibly that Backlot Express area with Monsters, Inc. taking its place. But Disney has been very quiet when it comes to any information related to these major announcements that came out of D23. So We don't know yet, and we'll probably find out at the last second. Goodness, there's work being done here at Walt Disney World right now that Disney hasn't even announced. So I think they're playing their cards a lot differently this year than they have in the past. Like I said, I don't know what's going on. We'll just have to wait and see. But all right, we've talked about...
Ladies and gentlemen, the Disney Skyliner has been temporarily delayed. Please remain updated. We will resume the flight as soon as possible. Thank you for your patience.
Just one of those days today. All right, we're moving again. So we've wandered around. We've talked about some of these announcements. Now I have to answer the question that I'm sure so many of you are wondering about. Should you visit Walt Disney World in 2025 when so much is going on here? I mean, there is so much that's going to be happening. So much is going to be closed. There's undoubtedly going to be a number of walls up. What should you do? Well, like I said before, it really depends on the wants and needs of your family. Like, we have to start there. If 2025 is going to be your opportunity to visit, and this is going to be your only opportunity to visit for whatever reason, you can absolutely make the most of your time here, regardless what attractions are open, regardless how many walls are up. And we're going to share with you how to do that. But what if this isn't your only opportunity to visit Walt Disney World 2025? That is. Well, honestly, I don't think 2025 is going to be the year to be here. As it is at Walt Disney World, things are just, they are not a well-oiled machine like they have been in the past. Which, I mean, there are always going to be times when things operate smoother than others. But management policies, the way that things are being done, ooh, that was a tight squeeze. They play a role in what the guest experience is like, even during the best of times. So it's definitely going to play a role during a time like this, when there's so much going on and there is, just by definition, less to do. You know, we haven't had this conversation yet, but when there is less available in the parks seem more crowded than they actually are, especially following 2020. People have talked a lot about how crowded it is in the parks, but they're not focusing the attention where I think the attention needs to be focused, on all the things that have closed and haven't reopened, and honestly have gone pretty much unnoticed. So we're gonna put some attention there here in the near future. I just haven't gotten to it yet. But that all having been said, with less being open in the parks, with more things being closed down, there's less places for people to go. And that means it's gonna seem like it's more crowded than it actually is in 2025. In fact, that might even be part of Disney's plan in 2025. Come here for a second. This is a tinfoil hat moment, so prepare yourself. 2025 is a big year. And people are talking about how big a year it's going to be, especially with Epic Universe opening, though we don't have any official dates for that, at least not to my knowledge, not right now. There's a lot of conversation about how Epic Universe is going to draw crowds away from Walt Disney World, which personally I don't agree with because, well, in the smallest of nutshells, Universal Orlando just does not have the capacity that Walt Disney World does. Even with Epic Universe, like, it's a numbers game and they're not going to draw enough people away from Walt Disney World to be an actual problem. In fact, I personally think if anything's going to drop Disney's numbers, it's going to be other factors that are going to impact travel across the board, including at Universal. This is a in the weeds conversation, but is it possible that doing all this work here at Walt Disney World in 2025 is going to close down more things, make Disney seem more crowded, drawing attention away from Epic Universe? You know, kind of an easy way to be like, see, we still can draw quite the crowd. But then with everything opening up 2026, 2027, by that time, Epic Universe will have fizzled out a little bit, so they're not fighting for the spotlight. I think that that might be the plan. Again, tinfoil hat, but still. All right, with all that having been said, I really think that this is something that you have to think about if you are planning a trip here in 2025. Whether or not you actually go through with it, which again is entirely up to you, there are still things that you're going to have to deal with. You're still going to have to navigate. You're going to have to navigate the lack of attractions in certain parks, even if it's only during a portion of the year. Maybe that portion is when you're going to be visiting. We're still going to have to navigate the crowds. We're still going to have to navigate the construction walls. So all of that stuff is going to play a role. Like I said, can you still have a great time? Yes. If you don't have to be here, I mean, I don't think I would be here if I didn't have to be. You know, like that's my thought process right now. But as always, I'd love to hear yours, so let me know what you have to say in a comment down below. Are you planning a trip for 2025? What is that trip going to look like for you? How do you think these attractions being closed is going to impact your trip? I want to hear your opinions in a comment down below. But for now, I think it's time to wrap things up. Thanks so much for hanging out with me. I hope that you had a great time wandering around and having this conversation with me. So many more conversations like this to come, so make sure that you stay tuned. Also, enjoy yourself, have a great day, and I look forward to seeing you guys next time. Until then, bye.